people that are calling for restructuring are entitled to their opinion. But I sincerely believe that the major problem of Nigeria now is stabilizing the economy and making the average Nigerian live fully as Nigerians. You understand? Once that is settled, you see, those who call for, who make this type of statements, and I believe that probably they are not economically strong, and that is why you see, once you threaten life, I believe that you are a nihilist. It's like you don't have a future, a hope somewhere. And you see, when the economy is sound and good, you don't hear this type of pronouncement. It is when trouble starts with the economy that people start making.
But how do you stabilize the economy in the face of uncertainty?
No, you see, to me, the very first rule about the orderly existence of the society is the effective, efficient enforcement of our laws, even-handedly, without bias, because that is what the security people are meant for, and that's why they are established. You see, the IG wouldn't have come to make a statement if Nigerian Rufai of Kaduna had not condemned, because I believe that once that type of statement happens, it should be the business of security agents without political people talking. And that is how we can have confidence and trust in ourselves.
And we see this with court judgments too. Sometimes when courts have given the judgment or the verdict,
yes,
you tend to hear maybe another political person saying, yes, you should go ahead and enforce this. And we ask ourselves, look, what are we doing to ourselves?
No, let me tell you about court judgments. It is also part of the process. We call it the provisions of the judgment enforcement rules applies. Once the judgment is in your favor, you just go to the bailiff and get it enforced. Why? So that you have a judgment is not the end of the, if the person will not comply willingly. If the person does not comply willingly, you have the right to file contempt of court proceedings. Why don't we want to go through the whole hog of the legal system and we start talking about if a judgment is given against me, I would ordinarily not want to comply. That is the nature of human beings. Now, but there are processes within the system that tells me how I will enforce my judgment.
Since we're talking about some of those and enforcing the laws without fear or favor, let's talk about the lawmakers.
Yes.
It's the second year now, ever since they've been in the saddle. How would you say they've gone about their duties? The National Assembly.
Yes, with respect, I have a strong feeling against the National Assembly. And the reason is that if a group of lawmakers decides to abandon or decide not to act in sync with what the Constitution says should be their duty, then that's when we start having problems. Section 4 of the Constitution talks about the legislative powers of the National Assembly. It says the National Assembly shall be charged with the legislative power of Nigeria and to make law for the peace, order, and good governance of Nigeria. Now, let's take it from the position of peace, order, and good governance. If you talk about peace, there are matters, for example, that we are talking about, you understand, that threatens the peace of Nigeria. What has the National Assembly people done about it? There are matters of economic importance. For example, we know that most companies in Nigeria, foreign and local, casualize Nigerian workers. It is the business of the National Assembly to look into that. That has not happened. The government, the executive government, an arm of the government of Nigeria, has crystallized that corruption must end in Nigeria. What is the contribution of the National Assembly to it?
Is it not contributing something?
No, you see, I don't believe that they have really keyed into the vision of the executive. You see, the National Assembly has been playing hide and seek about this war against corruption. If that is not the position, why would the two heads of the National Assembly be deriding more or less the fight against corruption?
No,
How?
they're not, because even one of the senators actually even wrote a book on anti-corruption.
Don't let us go into that book.
Why not?
Why
Why not go into it? Because this is a deliberate action to show that the National Assembly is also fighting corruption.
No, antidote for corruption. That title is sickening. You understand? You see, when you say a senator wrote a book on corruption, and you are now launching the book, you brought in people that, quote and unquote, are having issues with Nigeria on certain monies. They now said the National Assembly will buy so much of the books for such amount. Who gave them the authority to? Do we know of a sitting of the National Assembly where it was decided that at this launch, this must be pledged as part of the contribution to the book? You see, you don't just take any step and you think Nigerians are stupid, are foolish.
Let's go back.
That's not what we have elected them for.
Let's explore further a little bit of what you said about National Assembly not keen into the fight or the government's vision in tackling corruption. Could you be what can they do to demonstrate that they've keyed in to the fight against corruption?
Let's take it from the anti-corruption agencies. Before the EFCC came, corruption had been part of us. That is so rife. Now, the president appointed somebody over 2 years ago as acting head of the EFCC. That the name of Mago had been with them over 2 years ago. It was just late last year that they started talking about approving. You understand? So, if it will take them eternity to consider a name for approval, I don't think they are serious.
We'll come back to this, even though there are those who will argue with you that corruption has not been part of us. If some people are found guilty, that's those. So we can't generalize or paint us with one brush. But we'll be back and explore this a little further. Don't go away.